As the Taliban cracks down on people trying to flee Afghanistan, the Biden administration is taking steps to coordinate additional rescues from the country. State Department officials say a plan has been approved to work with private organizations and other outside actors to continue rescue efforts. Under the proposal, the White House would provide information and act as a central point of contact for the extraction efforts. This comes as we're learning more about what life is like now under the Taliban's rule. A recent op-ed published in USA Today explores one Jewish organization's efforts to get its staff and their families out of Afghanistan. It also paints a vivid picture of the painful parallels between what is unfolding there today and events leading up to the Holocaust more than 80 years ago. Rabbi Will Berkovitz is the author of the op-ed and the CEO of Jewish Family Service. He joins us now for more on the ongoing efforts to rescue Afghan citizens trapped under the Taliban's control. Rabbi Berkovitz, welcome. Thank you for joining us. How many people is your organization currently working with, and what exactly is it doing to try and get them out of Afghanistan?
Yeah, we are trying to save the lives of 123 people. 73 of them are children who are in hiding and being hunted by the Taliban right now as we speak. And we're trying to get those people and those children out of Afghanistan and into safe places.
And we have seen, of course, some disturbing images of people who've been beaten by the Taliban. What are you hearing from those your organization is in contact with about life in Afghanistan under the Taliban's rule?
Yeah, the reason why we need to get these people out and in these children and these families out, and these are people connected with our organization. They worked with interpreters. They worked with coalition forces, and they're now being hunted. And what we're hearing is that we have 4 families that we know for a fact that the Taliban came to their homes, smashed their windows, ransacked their homes, looking for them. They are in hiding, moving from place to place. We know of another set of families who witnessed the Taliban executing people from children as young as 10 up to 65-year-old boys and men in the street, execution style. We know that they're being hunted and their lives are in danger because of their service to the United States, which is why we need to really set a point person and a czar, if that's what's necessary, over this to get the people that are still trapped in Afghanistan out. And our people, our 123, is just a small portion of the larger group that are also all in hiding right now.
And in your op-ed, you write, quote, "There are painfully obvious echoes between what is happening in Afghanistan today and what our people endured leading up to the Holocaust." What concerns you most about the situation unfolding in Afghanistan today?
I think the lack of real commitment on the part of our country and our leadership to finish the mission and to leave those people abandoned and alone. The the echoes that I hear are people in hiding, being hunted, children being shot just for existing. And if we don't help get those people out, the blood is on our hands. We have a chance to redeem ourselves from history here to some tiny degree. And hope is that we will be able to. Please go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Our hope is that we will come up with a real plan. I love the idea that you had shared that they're going to partner with other organizations. But at the end of the day, if we can't get these people on planes and safely to an airport that is going to evacuate them, that coordination isn't really going to amount to much, because at the end of the day, as soon as they go outside, they become targets. They're hunted. And we know for a fact that or we're hearing from the street, I should say, the people that are there, our families, that they're getting fake messages. Hey, I'm a volunteer with the State Department. We need to come up with a way to make sure that the information that's being shared is legitimate information. And sharing information is wonderful, but that's not really enough, because at the end of the day, they need to be safely transported to an airport and then safely transported out of the country because of their service to our country, because of what they did for the United States. And we know that this isn't just Jewish Family Service of Seattle who's working to get these people out. We know of many, we're working with former military who are trying to get their interpreters out as well. We can't leave these people behind to die.
And so what aid or assistance are you getting from the State Department, if any?
I feel heartened that there's at least somebody who will respond to an email right now. It took a lot of effort to even get that person as opposed to just a website. But sadly, not enough. At the end of the day, there needs to be a person who is in charge, like the czar that's in charge of the refugees, the governor, who I'm very excited about that, to help refugees get that are in our country. We need somebody just like that, a point person, a czar that is in charge of helping coordinate and has the authority to make real decisions to get those people onto airplanes and out safely into the country. Because these children, these families they're every moment that they are left in the country, they are at risk. Every moment that goes by, their lives are more in danger because they're being tracked. We know they're being shot. We're hearing about this. We know that by leaving this to extend as long as it is, the longer it goes on, the news will move on to some other really critical topic of the day, and these people will be forgotten. My job, my calling as an organization, as a Jewish person, as a rabbi, is when we say never forget, that means something. We have an obligation, a moral obligation as a society, as a country, to hold on to and hold up the promises we've made. We have to make sure these people's lives are not forgotten and they're not left alone trying to find their way out. That's on us. Next week, Secretary Blinken will be before the Foreign Affairs Committee. My great hope is that people will ask for the specific details. How is this really going to work? Who's consolidating the lists? We can't just say we're working on the details. We should have been working on those details months ago. We are so far behind right now, and we've put these people in incredible danger. They'll be taking greater and greater risks with their lives based on rumor, based on fear, based on one of these days the Taliban will knock on their door and they'll be there. And everybody that they hide with then becomes at risk as well. So we are compounding the problem by not making efforts fast and working out the details. If we need to evacuate them to a third country for processing, and let's do that. But let's get them out and let's get them to safety.
Rabbi Will Berkovitz, thank you so much for all your humanitarian efforts, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very, very much.